Yo, GM, everyone. We have Alpha Wolves episode 1 on video, but we've been doing Alpha Wolves now for I don't know how many episodes. I think 10 episodes or something, Spark, on Twitter Spaces. So shout out to Sam. Love that dude. If you haven't followed him, go follow him. But also somebody else that helped co-host it was Spark C. Spark C, how you doing today, brother?
Good, man. Good to be back. You know, fresh time, fresh day, fresh format with the video. It's going to be good.
Yeah, you look very anon, which I love in typical Spark C fashion. We have some people in the comments just want to give a shout out to people that are showing up for the first time. AE, Chris Adrock, Calvin Jawa, Relak Kuma girl, Ninjaman, what's up, big dog? Striker was playing some CSGO with him last night, Crypto Gorilla. So thank you guys for being here very early. Really do appreciate it. But we guys have a stacked panel today too. We have somebody that I highly love, and he's been in the space now for 3 years, and he is a freaking legend talking about tokens, NFTs, Web3, everything. Crypto Gorilla, what's up, big dog? How you doing?
What's good? Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me,
dude. Super excited. And then whenever what's it called? Hustle's coming in probably just a little bit, guys. He's coming out from back-to-back streams. That guy's a grinder. And so we're going to get started here soon. But before we do, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor. What's always very hard, especially in the beginning for like production and all that stuff, is actually finding a sponsor very early. And I wanted to thank Infinigods for actually like believing in us and also doing like just being friends in the space for pretty much now 2 years. Spark, I think, is what we've been part of that community now. And so I think for people that don't know what Infinigods is a gaming studio that's building in a free-to-play Web3 powered game centered around ancient mythologies. And then Infinigods goes mobile on their third game, King of Destiny, now available on iOS and Android, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then players can win jackpots, fight mythical monsters, and pillage friends, all pursuit of fame and fortune. So thank you so much, Infinigods team, for sponsoring us. But also this show is alpha, so I want to make sure that we are also going over some things here. They have a Valhalla Foundation, which is the foundation that's going to be standing up God's token, and they will be giving out Thunder points in which that will earn God token in the future. So if you guys are not signed up for the Valhalla Foundation, you can go to valhallafoundation.xyz for missions and start earning those points to be able to get a good airdrop for God's token in the future. And what a ticker name. But the other person that I want to introduce here is somebody that I also deeply care about. Also very good looking dude. Hustle. How are you doing, big dog? How you doing?
My looks are nothing compared to yours, Peyton. Come on.
Dude, you're looking so good, man. How you doing? I think you're coming back from a stream too, back to back?
Yeah, back-to-back content this morning, putting together a few videos that should be some bangers. So nice, always in the lab for the content.
Yeah, exactly. Always doing it. If you guys have not followed any of these guys before, Crypto Gorilla has one of the best like NFT DGen channels like ever. I watch it. And then also tomorrow you guys have a show called Moon or Dust on Friday that I always tune into. What time is that, Gorilla?
That is at 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, sounds good. But I'm always there. I always chat. I also like show my bags to Gorilla in the chat. And then also Hustle, you have so many things going on, man. You're an entrepreneur, Jeffrey Bezos of Web3 gaming, I would say. And you have Nexus, which is down in the banner below, as well as In the Game, also like the premier destination for crypto banter, which is an amazing show as well. So I cannot wait to get and chop it up with the boys, with the Wolves. Also, just wanted to do a shout out to Samwise, who made like the sound effect for the intro. He's freaking a goat when it comes to music and all that stuff. But without further ado, guys, the first segment that we're going to be doing is the markets. And something that we wanted to also shout out here is nexuslabs.gg, which is Mr. Hustlepedia's type of thing. Hustle, can you give us a little bit of breakdown of what Nexus Labs is doing while I get everything set up here?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I feel like is very complicated, especially for newer incumbents. Like imagine you find a cool crypto game, just an example, and you come through and you have to go to DApp Radar, all these different things, or like 10 different websites to figure out all the information, what NFT collections are associated with this game. For example, like some games like Wilder World have like 10 NFT collections. Yeah. It's really hard to keep up with and which ones do what in the ecosystem. So we're really just trying to simplify the research process for all the DGens out there, be able to track all your portfolios under one roof, get all the data that you need to be able to successfully navigate and hopefully successfully invest into the space. So really just an all-in-one data source to sharpen up your investments.
Yeah, you're the freaking man. And also I've been jumping into it. We're also going to be using it for the weather report. We got IMX here at $1.83, down on the 7-day at 18.24% at a 2.72 billion market cap. We have Gala at 3 cents, down 24.97 on the 7-day, 1 billion market cap. We got Beam at 2 cents, down 18.67% at a 1 billion market cap. Continuing on with ecosystems play, though, we have Ronin at $2.79, down 10.98%, under 1 billion market cap at 922.4 million. Going into games a little bit, we have Axie Infinity at $7, down 16.9% at 1 billion. And then we have Echelon Prime here at $11.47. I know it's a favorite of all of us here on the panel. Down 33.79% and 410.3 million market cap. Going into Illuvium, ILV, $81.41 and down 14.57% at a 359.4 million. And lastly, Pixels at 38 cents, down 22.81% on 298 million. But that's not all, folks. We got NFTs here. In terms of the floor price, we have today the game at 1.02 ETH, Skyborn Legacy at 0.99, Hopeful, previous shout out to the company I worked for, Azra, 0.92 ETH, Overworld Akarna at 0.80 ETH, and Pirate Nation at 0.79, which we'll talk a little bit later. Pixelmon 0.47 ETH, and My Pet Hooligan at 0.45, which is going to be awesome to talk about too. What do you guys think about the markets nowadays? Yeah, Hustle, you liked that, didn't you?
First of all, the weather report was fire. You should definitely go. You should go pro on the weather report.
You don't know how many times I actually practiced that before the actual show, so I don't think I should do it live ever.
No, that was brilliant, bro. You really nailed it. But the markets are just rough, and we just haven't had a big catalyst. And I mean, if anything, we've had negative catalysts in the gaming space specifically. Yeah. Just oversaturation, not enough good games coming through the door. Too many tokens that are going live and letting people down, which then kind of scares away new investors. Because when you're a newer investor, you seem to gravitate towards, you like a new product because to them, they're not familiar with the tokenomics as much. So they're like, I would love to invest in a brand new coin. I feel like I'm early. But the way that things are set up right now, that's definitely not the case. And I just feel like it's kind of scaring away people from the gaming sector. But we're definitely oversold, I would say.
Yeah, we have definitely have a very underperforming comparatively to some of our counterparts, which is like meme tokens and also AI. Rilla, what do you feel? I know you also are definitely in gaming, but also kind of explore outside of it too.
Yeah, I mean, NFTs, which was always my main niche, are just really boring. There's not that much. I can't even think of a good NFT whitelist that's coming up off the top of my head. The best whitelist coming up, or that already passed actually, but hasn't launched, is Borpa. So that's a token, and it's more of a meme token. I think memes are getting a lot of attention. The best performing coins in my bag right now are memes. They're kind of going against, all my altcoins are going down. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to be the altcoin run right now, and they're just not going up. So people are really disappointed. But I do also think it has a lot to do with the macro. We had the FOMC yesterday. We didn't get a rate cut. So I think it's beyond just crypto, and people just aren't risk on right now. There's not that flow of money. We're not printing. So I just think it's a matter of time, but I do feel it is inevitable.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think like the markets and everything like that are just chopped.
That was definitely the discussion the last couple of days on Twitter, is the inevitability or not of crypto gaming, which I think says a lot about the state of gaming, that was the topic of discussion. I think like Hustle said, there's been so many token launches. There's been a saturation of new tokens, but also we finally had in the last couple of weeks some of these new token launches that we've been looking forward to for a while. The ones that we expected to do really well, like we're going to talk about Pirate Token soon, like your Mon token. And I think that their launches are going to prove very healthy for them longer term, but there's no doubt that they launched at market caps that were way lower than expected. So that was sort of what I was looking for. That was going to be the test for me to see where gaming was really at, like the new tokens that people have actually been looking forward to for a long while. And the sentiment was not amazing there.
Yeah, sentiment definitely wasn't. And it's kind of like everybody's kind of hurting right now, to be honest. Market cap is just under 20 billion when it comes to GameFi. And also we have like Floki here, which is also propping up a lot of the market cap. So yeah, there's a lot of like different things, like very red across the market. It's very choppy. But let's get into like our first topic here, which is actually talking about Pirate Nation, which is what Sparksy just mentioned. And the one thing that I want to kind of touch on is more about the pie chart that they kind of released out prior to their token airdrop. It was actually a pretty great pie chart. The sentiment wise towards it was good. It might have maybe underperformed in some of it, and there's also two sides of this specific narrative, but in this story. But what did you guys think of this pie chart whenever Pirate Nation Foundation released it?
I thought
Spark,
it was good.
I'll go to you first.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge bunch to the community, and it's not shown in that image there, but a lot of that was live on TGE. Like I think 15% of that or something was live on TGE, and the total circulating supply at TGE was like around 25%, I think. So that's like 60% goes to the community of the initial float. That's pretty impressive. A few people pointed out like 28% to the team. I think number one, that team image there is accounting for like foundation and treasury and all that crap that you see on the pie charts. But also, like, I'm a big fan of teams being incentivized to care about their token. It might be a great little marketing spin that the team only takes 10% or 5% or whatever, but I want the team to care about the token. So I liked it.
Yeah. Is there a certain percentage, and maybe I'll go to you, Hustle, because you've seen a lot of these deals as well. Is there a certain like type of percentage that you are looking for the team? Maybe a little bit like kind of to similar to what Spark said about, hey, we want them to kind of have an incentive to keep building for the long term.
Yeah, like to me, I agree with Spark 100% on the fact that like if you don't have enough exposure or skin in some way in the token as a team, over time, bear market comes through before they're fully vested, they're hardly going to care because they didn't have a big share at the beginning. So like I used to probably put a lot more weight in like, oh, this team's taking 25% or whatever the case is. That seems irrational. That's not fair. They're just going to dump on everybody. But, you know, if you look at the vesting schedules or like what Spark said, I'd rather a team that's bought in, right? So it doesn't weigh as much in my mind anymore. I think anywhere from 10 to maybe as high as where Pirate allocated to their team is fine with me. At the end of the day, like they're going to do their best to make sure that by the time they're fully vested, that the token's sitting at a good price. And, you know, there are some projects that try to do the gimmick, like Spark said, like, oh, we're just going to take 5% of the supply. But those are the teams where their tokens crater.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also shows kind of a sign of like, hey, I'm not really here for the long haul, as well as like it doesn't always share the same picture too, because vesting schedules sometimes go like 3 or 4 years, which also shows that they have skin in the game and they want to keep building. So talking about kind of more of like the token unlock for Pirate Nation, really the total supply that they gave to the community was a healthy amount of like around 20%, 25% in terms of circulating supply for the release. And there's kind of a lot of different types of feedback on this, but we look at Pirate Nation terms of token right now at around like 17 cents. So probably some people think that it was done well and some people think it underperformed in a lot of ways. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Gorilla, do you have any aspects on Pirate Nation in terms of their release?
No, it performed exactly where I thought it would hit. Right now, it's at 170, 180 mil.
Yeah, fully diluted 170. And then I'll have to do the math for the circulating supply, which I think it's at 25% circulating supply. So I don't know, Spark, if you have that off rip, but around 1 billion tokens, 25% of that times this.
Yeah, pretty much landed exactly where I thought it would.
Yeah. Like in terms of Spark, like what's your thoughts on it in terms of how people have like perceived this?
I think it's definitely not been perceived as like a huge cook. Like if you looked at a lot of the like moon math sheets going around and whatnot, people were definitely hoping for more. People got baited in by the old Coinbase transaction on chain again, where the team's using Coinbase custody and they're throwing some treasury tokens to Coinbase, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be a Coinbase listing. All these tokens are going to Coinbase." So you know, obviously they didn't get the tier one exchanges. I think it's definitely good for the long term. Their vesting their inflationary rate is like pretty low. I think they double in the first year, which is like as good as you're getting pretty much. So look, I think it's at a good price. Yeah, I think it's at a good price.
And something that you sent to me actually right before the show happened, maybe you can also comment on it. But it was also pretty surprising in terms of the claims. So for people that don't know, whenever you claim your specific token for Pirate, you're also given the option to have like a 500% ROI in terms of like return, maybe a 500 multiplier. I'm sorry if I'm misquoting that. but there were 60% of people that opted into it. What did you kind of make of this, Spark? I know that you sent this to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's pretty bullish. That 60% of people stake their claim, especially when the claim is so huge, right? We're talking about like 15% of the supply or something being claimable. That is the main utility of the token, is its ability to accrue points for the future infrastructure token. I think people are more excited about the on-chain gaming infrastructure play than the game itself. So it makes sense that people are staking for that, but it's a good sign as well. There's definitely a lot of believers there. And I mean, yeah, look, Pirate Nation have been building their community for a couple of years and actually building the community during those years, not just existing over the bear. So I think they got rewarded for it in that sense. There are definitely a lot of people that claim the airdrop are believers in what they're building.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. Pirate Nation's been here for a long time. And for people that like maybe don't understand like what Sparksy just said in terms of kind of the two infrastructure plays. So there's Proof of Play, which is actually the kind of parent company of Pirate Nation, which they actually put a lot of emphasis on Proof of Play, which is like an infrastructure play, kind of like I guess a on-chain game engine in a lot of ways, on which that they came to market with Pirate Nation. So they're going to help other people do it too. So a lot of people are speculating and staking their pirate token for a future token, this is just how it usually goes, right? When it comes to this. So at least they know how to play the game in a lot of ways. But I also just want to kind of get like a weather report for some of our people that we respect in terms of the space. Hunter Solaire kind of just talking about like lots of disappointment with Pirate Nation token. It was down at like 13 cents right when launched, which I don't know if they launched at the right time too. A lot of people were asleep. There's a lot of people that I was talking to on voice. Like I was playing CSGO with Gorilla. Also, Gorilla is freaking a cook at CSGO. He's like second time he's ever installed it and freaking got #1. I'm like, what the frick? It's one of the highest skill gaps, whatever. Anyways, I slept on as a gamer, that's for sure. But anyways, back to Hunter. At 138 FDV a few hours later, especially like Pirate, since like program, the points program for their next token, it just like didn't perform, especially off the rip. Maybe Hunter has a different specific thing, but he did also want to clarify he's not really targeting Pirate Nation. He's just saying that there's a bearish on people's expectations for free money at TG and market caps of tokens at launch. And I think that's what we've all kind of been sober to in a lot of ways. And so I wanted to just kind of like also talk to that in terms of the panel. Like, have we been sobered in a lot of ways? Like, are we adjusting our expectations when it comes to these TGEs, these play to airdrops? I'm going to toss it over to Gorilla, mostly because, you know, the Mon protocol and everything like that, you like went super heavy into that. Are you adjusting your expectations when it comes to gaming tokens and the airdrops that come from them?
100%. Yeah, definitely. I think Mon underperformed for my expectations, both in terms of their play to airdrop and for the airdrop for the NFTs. I thought we would get, you know, with the price of the token, I thought it would be a lot better. We've seen the NFTs take quite a dump in their price, and I'm curious where the Pirate Nation ones are at. I think last I saw they're at 0.7. I did see a lot of people, or not a lot. I saw whales who were disappointed with the Pirate Nation airdrop. They were doing some multipliers compared to people who only had a couple in their wallet, and it seems like the distribution there was off. But definitely both for my expectations of their FDV on launch. If they don't get Binance, if you get Binance, you're golden. If you don't, you're probably not going to do as well. And for these campaigns for I judge a lot of the market based on views for videos. And in recent times, my top 6 upcoming play to airdrops or just airdrops in general videos did incredibly well, like 10x views on my NFT videos. So people were really into that. They were grinding it. They were looking for this stuff actively. And I think a lot of them are underperforming. So definitely adjusting my expectations.
I would love to also get like a future update, Gorilla. I watch your channel all the time. So in terms of like viewership and stuff like that, if that also changes, maybe like sentiment wise towards it, it's like, hey, I'm not going to go and like grind and do this play to airdrop campaign if I'm not going to get like an outsized reward on it. And it's always hard, right? Like when it comes to this, I've been on the builder side of things. It's like, okay, how do you like actually reward somebody for doing a lot of this? And I think the mentality shift for a lot of them too is a little bit different because they come from free to play or they come to stuff where everything was very one-sided. They didn't like need to reward the people that are super early and all that stuff. And so it's like also just a mental shift. And I think I am still bullish on like a lot of these builders because they've been learning the last 3 years. So I'm not like so doom and gloom on it for sure. Somebody that also had like I guess an alternate take was Elisa saying that like, the Pirate launch was a W for players. And it's so funny how people took different snapshots of the price to like, talk about their stuff. So I think Elisa was kind of snapshotted at 23 cents. But regardless, this is when she kind of woke up and said like, I love seeing loyal community members getting rewarded fairly. No pre-sale or KOL round, just play to airdrop. 15% supply distributed in season 1, and then season 2 play to airdrop starts now. And if that is contradiction to the 25% that we kind of said earlier, it kind of is. What Elisa is saying is that 15% was airdropped for this season 1, and then it's still unlocked. And so something that I guess this is a discussion to have a little bit later, but there is a specific type of unlocked, but still kind of is able to be sold, but at the same time, they're going to be using it to distribute. So I still count that as circulating supply, but some people do not. In terms of Jesus, his specific take on it was Pirate just launched a couple hours ago, missed the farm, but have been a supporter of Pirate Nation. And then My Pet Hooligan, which we're going to talk a lot about later, kind of has a very similar community, which is like a cult-like following, very loyal, very friendly people, passionate about the product. And so I want to also put that, but also kind of going back to Hunter's take was more Apex, saying the market's appetite for gaming tokens is not very high right now. So Pirate at 170 FDV is solid, but under a lot of expectations. Reality is the time of 1 billion token launches is over and never should have been the norm. So that's kind of a question that I want to bring up to this panel. Does anybody have like a take on this? Like reality is the time of 1 billion token launches is over and never should have been the norm. Is that true? Anybody want to take
I don't think it's over. I think if we get like a proper a proper bull market, it's going to come back again, especially, I mean, anything that launches on Binance is still going to get that. But I think if we get a proper bull market, we're going to see some of those massive market caps on launch again. Whether or not that's like a healthy thing, like, another question. But I think it is going to come back, but I don't think it's coming back in the immediate future. I wouldn't be buying anything that relies on that happening in the next few months. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we don't get the 1 billion token launches back, I mean, what's the point of investing in all these rounds that are raising at 50, 70 FDV? Then I might as well just wait. It's going to launch. I get the argument, hey, it's healthy for a low price and everybody gets to get in. Just like with NFTs, right? You don't want your whitelist price to be too high. There needs to be upside for people in the secondary market. But then why am I buying in with a 2-year lockup? I might as well just buy the token in the secondary market and then I'm free to trade.
Yeah. I concur. And when it comes to especially the KOL rounds that a lot of us are actually participate in, right? They're high FDVs and stuff. Hustle, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, I think if you're expecting all these gaming tokens to launch at a build, that's probably not the best like expectation going into it. Like most of these games don't deserve near $1 billion valuation at the end of the day, right? Now we would love that. Portal, master marketing, Binance launched, that set expectations really high for this cycle. So everyone kind of like expected these other launches that are super hyped to do similar things. Really the only one coming through the door soon, Aethir outperformed. I think that's on the agenda as well, potentially. But
actually next topic.
I think Off the Grid could be $1 billion game, like on launch. Absolutely. And I would actually be very surprised if it wasn't. But other than that, like there's not many crypto gaming projects coming to fold that I think warrant that valuation right off the jump.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a good comment here from IC2. As far as most token launches go, Pirate has garnered a lot of organic coverage and sentiment. Seems pretty balanced and general positive, which in contrast to a lot of recent token launches is pretty bullish. And I agree with that. I think that is the benefit of kind of what Sparksy touched on prior, which is like having a very loyal community, but been around here for 2 years, not even just been around here for 2 years, but been like very active in the space for 2 years. I think like in terms of like relationships, community, they never like shut down their Discord or anything like that. So there is like an affiliation to the Pirate Nation community that like the Web3 team and community wants them to win. So I agree with IC. I thought it was a good take, so I wanted to share it. One thing that Gorilla said, I want to kind of cover it before we move on to Aethir, was actually the sentiment towards the whales for Pirate Nation. This was a snapshot from Grail, which is so very disappointing as a heavy NFT buyer here in season 1. He's actually still buying if the price goes down, but he says that I like the team and I love the gaming ecosystem and the on-chain infra. Super bullish on this, and despite getting nerfed hard with the distribution, I feel I'm 1/3 or 1/4 where I should be there. And this was something that I think their crew is like 81 That's a lot, especially I think the cost average that he bought into. But these are like the NFT whales, right? These are the financialized whales that are kind of a new demographic in the gaming sector. Spark, I wanted to kind of get your take on this because this was a picture that you snagged.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of this will probably come up again in the ZKsync conversation about their airdrop later. But I think if you start doing like non-linear airdrops, number one, I mean, if Grail had to put those 81 NFTs in like 81 different wallets, like he wouldn't have got nerfed. And I think that's always fucking stupid when it's like that. But I think you also have to look at, because the way it worked for the airdrop, right, is a lot of players came out really well. A lot of them made like $700 to $1,000 for playing the game if they started in like the early season, right? Which is like a huge cook for them. And a lot of the whales in return got heavily nerfed. And it's like, who is the main customer here for the token? It's like, yeah, it's a token for a game. The game is out there and playable, but the main utility that people want the token for is to stake it for an infrastructure token. And that is like, they're your whales, right? They're the people that are going to be most excited about that. And they're the ones that got burnt the most from the airdrop. So I haven't like heard any explanations from the team. We're probably not, I don't know if we're going to get one or not. But I thought that was a misstep in an otherwise well-executed campaign.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did think that the execution of their campaign was better than most that we've seen. I do want to touch on this before we move on, though, is really the utility of Pirate token in terms of like what their ecosystem is. So there will be Pirate rewards for leaderboards, competitions, seasonal questing, unique in-game achievements, and special game events. And then you can also use Pirate as staking, which is kind of, to your point, Spark, is kind of what people are speculating on a future ecosystem token. And that's probably why we've seen this of 60% claim stake, because infrastructure plays has always been higher when it comes to a market cap than it does for like gaming tokens. So a lot of people are using Pirate token to speculate that the future of it will be higher. And then crafting, asset customization, exclusive guild utilities, and buying gems, which gems is their in-game faucet for gems utilities. So doing and like a lot of quality of life stuff when it comes to the games. And yeah, for people that want to know, sitting at a 0.71 floor price, I think at their high was like 1.3 or something like that. So still relatively, I guess, strength in that department, because I think the NFTs still have utility for season 2 as well. But we do see a dip. Awesome. Next topic here we're going to be talking about is Aethir, which actually has performed well in a lot of ways. And Aethir had a respectable launch, market cap of around 350 million, FTV of close of 4 billion. What are you guys' reactions to this, and what do you guys think this means for like node sales, and will it affect gaming at all? Because I do think that Aethir had like kind of a gaming narrative around it as well. I'll toss it over to Johnny first, because I know, Johnny, you brought it up earlier in the show.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's just say, like, I invested at 300 million. And if you would have told me that I got my return back on a 10% TGE on claim, I would have said that you're absolutely delusional with the way that the market's been functioning, right? But it launched at $3 billion market cap. It's actually, the price action's been going up over the last, 24 hours, which is crazy to see.
Up 33%.
Yeah, I know that some of the investors are cliffed. So there's like a 3-month cliff from here. So there could be a little bit of leeway for this thing to run, but definitely like a pleasant surprise in the midst of a bunch of underwhelming launches. And I still am of the opinion, though, like node stuff is just completely oversaturated. There's a lot of tokens coming through the door, but nodes at this point, like I bought a few of these. I bought a few like the carve ones. I've taken some shots, but nodes are definitely not in my like big investment thesis at this moment in time. And I'm very surprised.
Me asking to kind of like go down that rabbit hole a little bit, because somebody on the panel might think otherwise. But why do you not like nodes and on that aspect of things?
So that's kind of like the contrary of what Gorilla was saying earlier. Like, why would we invest in these rounds? Why would I invest in a node that's just going to slow drip me tokens daily? And when we get to the bear market, it's going to be meaningless when you can actually time up your vestings at least at the minimum and be like, my thesis is the cycle plays out to here. I should be able to ROI out of this investment based on market cap investing by this time. Like I've bought nodes at all different points of the market, and some of them do really well, and some of them are just absolutely worthless at a certain point in time because the token goes so far down. And sometimes projects just even die and don't come back, right? So to me, I'd rather buy into an early round that I know the vesting on, or even invest in something that's on the market that has friendlier vesting schedules than buy a node that's just going to slow drip me tokens. It's basically a worse deal to get in on an early round, but instead of a set schedule, you're just getting a diluted amount of tokens daily. So like the more people that buy the nodes, the less tokens that each node owner gets daily. So like, why would I put these unknown variables into my investment thesis? That's kind of my opinion. I'm avoiding nodes for the most part, unless the project is very, very quality.
Yeah, it's like
go ahead.
It's like an anti-incentive almost, right? It's like token price goes up, that's bullish, but the higher the token price goes, the more people are going to want to buy the nodes, and therefore the more diluted you get. Like it's not a great feeling.
Yeah, there's been a rare occasion where I feel like I'm getting more money out of a node. There might be times where the token pumps and your overall bag increases, but as far as the emissions, I've never seen it to where it's like, I feel like I'm getting exponentially more money from a node at a certain point in time because of that.
Yeah, I concur. Like I'm not a big nodes guy either. And me and Spark have talked about it. It's just not something that we've like ever really dabbled in. Gorilla, have you like ever like bought a node or anything like that? Or do you follow any of that stuff?
I'm really not a fan. Same thing as these guys. I don't like nodes. To me, I think a lot of projects, they saw how, as an investor, I think a lot of people saw how well Zai did with their nodes, those cooked. So everybody's chasing that. And then projects, they look at things like Aethir. They raised what, like 100 million or something crazy with their nodes?
I know Carve just raised 30 million. So
yeah, every single project now, even individual games are just like, hey, we all have our token that you can invest in. We also have nodes. And I'm just like, why? Like, I don't see a point other than you guys raising more money. The only one I actually considered doing was Gunzilla. That's the only one. I didn't do it.
Or off the grid. And people that don't know, Gunzilla is off the grid type of thing. Yeah.
And the other thing is a lot of these nodes, one, you can't trade them for the first year, and you have to operate them if you want the tokens. I know there's services that do it, but just for the original question, the token Aethir, did it incredibly well, especially for not getting Binance. They're at 3 or 4 bill right now. They didn't get Binance, like huge achievement for them. I don't know why they didn't get Binance. I feel they checked all the boxes. There was also earlier this week IO.net that launched, which I think is at a similar market cap, and they launched through Binance. So maybe it was like, hey, we can't have you guys in the same week. And Aethir was just like, okay, too bad. We're pressing the button. We're going forward with it. And the perception of nodes, I think it depends which tier you got in. I know in Nexus, they got the investment. In Mind Wizards Capital, we got the investment, and we got in at good tiers, but people bought in all the way up to what, tier 52, which is thousands of dollars. So how long is it going to take you just to make your initial investment back? So I think if you got in at a low tier, especially with the airdrop that they did on day one, which I think was a surprise, I don't think anybody knew, you got potentially, 30 or 40% with prices now, maybe it's even higher, back on day one of your investment. But if you bought in at one of these high tiers, I think you spent like 2.5 ETH. That's thousands of dollars. Yeah, you're not getting your money back for a while.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is.
People love the passive income dream, right? That's, I think, the dream that the node sells is passive income. Sits there and gives you money. You don't have to do anything. But not good value in my opinion.
Yeah, my last thing, Spark hit it there. Anytime you think you're getting passive income in crypto, you better not rely on that thing for too long.
Yeah, I think also what we have PTSD for too is like so many token launches and so many like node like deliverables have like also been pushed to the right so many times. And like it's one of those things too, kind of like NFTs, is that like there is like this heavy emphasis on making them happy and like because it leads directly to revenue in the company. But once it's actually done and you're actually giving it away, you're a little bit slower on your feet to like actually like release it. So there's like a lot of like nodes and a lot of NFTs or anything like perks that are deprioritized after mint or after a TGE, mostly because it doesn't give revenue to the company anymore. That's always something that like I've learned on the back side of things. It's just like, oh yeah, well, we care about these NFT holders and all that stuff, but like we need to keep on this company making revenue. So like we're going to have to focus on X, Y, and Z now. off of the money that is. And so like I think there's a lot of perspective that gets changed post a node sale or post a NFT stuff. So a lot of things to talk about too. I want to bring up Vader's specific tweet, which kind of tracked the beginning of where it released at. And it's like 265 million market cap, a 3 billion FTV, which currently I'll drop back here. It's almost at a 4 billion FTV. And also the volume here, Gorilla, I think they're going to get Binance very soon. There's no way that Binance does not want that volume transaction. Like there's freaking no way. 228 freaking million going in that. You talk about transaction fees and all that kind of stuff. Which exchange doesn't want that? Especially Binance being whatever is like they're gonna put this thing, which is also another catalyst to it. I think that's not really talked about a lot too. Is like if you don't go with Binance, but you have a lot of confidence in your volume or anything like that, or like perps or any type of future trading, like that is like a catalyst for more volume and more like type of like I guess bullish sentiment over your specific token. So yeah, I think Binance is going to be coming in very hot and saying like, hey, we're going to take that volume. Thank you very much. The next topic actually is something that Gorilla, I wanted your take on because this is I think a topic that you wanted to add in, and I thought this was funny, but it was like a ZK scam and ZKsync in terms of like the airdrop. And the criteria was like solo degen bonsai team, and then the real users are x'd out. And it just like I thought this was a funny sentiment and a good like launch pad into like the discussion. But can you tell me a little bit about like ZKsync, what happened, and why the sentiment is like very mixed and probably leaning and skewing more towards negative?
Yeah, so the airdrop itself seemed really good. I think they airdropped 17.5% of their supply, which sounds great, but the people who've been grinding, and yeah, some of them, it's farms and stuff, but they're your users, right? I feel it's a lot of these protocols, they're using all these people to say, hey, look how many users we have, look how many people are interested in us. They get a really high valuation, they raise all this money, but then they're not giving it back. If you were grinding, I know people who grinded for crazy long time, they invested a long time, they had a lot of transaction history, like both volume and the quantity of transactions, and they got nothing. They didn't even qualify. Whereas there's wallets, I think it was based a lot more on if you dabbled with ZK Lite a very long time ago, even though a lot of people got screwed there, you still qualified, or some people, but a lot of it was like TVL locked over a long period of time. I know people who put like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they didn't lock it up for long enough, so they didn't get anything. So I think it's just the way they chose people really pissed people off. And I mean, now all those people, they're going to look at this as a dead chain. They're just not going to want to use it anymore. And then the other thing they did, a lot of people were comparing it to Arbitrum, where the minimum.
Yeah, I have it here. You sent me this.
Yeah. So the min in Arbitrum and the max that you can get was 10,000 tokens roughly. Whereas for this one, it's 100,000 tokens. I mean, I saw some people, I didn't look into how real this is, but I saw some people saying like all the airdrop influencers got the maximum amount, I guess, just to keep them happy and not complaining on the timeline. But I think a lot of people are mad about how one individual person in their wallet can get such a high amount. And if you kind of cut that, you can give a lot more tokens out to more people. So yeah, overall, there's just people are really upset with how they did the distribution, how they chose, and they feel screwed. I mean, I know people who had a ton of wallets, they got nothing. My wallet, my main wallet, where I have a lot of assets on mainnet, so maybe that was one of the qualifications, but I haven't touched ZKsync other than trading one meme coin in the last like year. I have not touched it, and I got 8,000 tokens. I got more than people who are actively grinding it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. Spark, I think you also had a comment on this specific topic, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not so much on ZKsync specifically, in that I'm not familiar enough with the mechanics of what happened, all the context there. Just like sort of in general with airdrops, I don't have a problem with whales getting a huge portion of the airdrop if they provide a huge portion of the TVL. I think that those sorts of power users are very valuable to chains and for the TVL that they bring. And that TVL contributes to the chain getting their raises and all that sort of stuff. So I don't feel the need to heavily nerf them. I'm definitely a fan of something more approaching a linear airdrop. But I do completely agree with what Gorilla said in terms of I don't like how these protocols will milk the cybles to get their raises and to get their hype and use all of that to raise it a huge amount And then come airdrop time, it's like, fuck them, they don't get anything. And by the way, we hate you guys all along. Like, I would respect them a lot more if they made clear from the start, we are going to be doing everything we can to get rid of cybles. Like, don't try that here. And they had to raise off like real quote unquote like metrics. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually pretty crazy. And this is kind of like what you guys were talking about with the farming and everything like that, where like they're kind of touting and using these type of people that produce farms of saying like, here's the users that you're actually like putting out there and raising off of the back of, right? We saw a lot of that too in terms of 2021, 2022, in terms of like the NFT bull market cycle, with a lot of NFTs like raising for games off the backs of like showing demand for like revenue or any of that stuff, transactional volume, all of that kind of played into a pitch deck in which that VCs poured money into that. And a lot of them have kind of like failed, right? In a lot of sense. And so like, I'm also curious to hear your guys' thoughts on like some of like the VCs and like, are like, what's the VCs like maybe getting wrong here? And is it mostly just not being in the trenches and looking at this and saying like, this is actually the user base and doing your due diligence? Or like any thoughts on like the VCs and like what they should be doing better in terms of investing into projects?
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk so much on like the protocol side of things. It's not where my expertise lies. I know on the gaming side, like I think that there are so very few VCs that understand how to sell tokens to speculators, or what team makes for good sellers of tokens to speculators. Because that is like the initial customer, right? Unless you're launching a token with a fully ready game, ready to onboard Web2 people, immediate utility. If you're not doing that, then your token is launching to speculators, traders, investors, blah, blah, blah. They're the people that you need to buy your token. And often you need them to buy your token so that you can, you need to produce hype before the token is even launched so that you can raise and get money to build the game later, right? And VCs are investing in projects based on their ability to build the final product, but they're never going to be able to build that final product if they can't generate some excitement in the space beforehand. So I think when it comes to the gaming side, VCs would definitely benefit from being in the trenches a little more to be able to identify those teams that that can do like a Pixelmon sort of produce like a cult community.
Right. And we do have an extra topic for that. I actually want to get to it right now. But before we do, I just want to kind of shout out again our sponsor here, which is Infinigods, who has a game out right now that you can download on iOS as well as Android, King of Destiny. And also we opened up at the beginning of the show, something that you definitely should be checking out here is the Valhalla Foundation, which is going to be releasing the Gods token, in which that Infinigods will be using in their ecosystem. And you have a lot of ways to be able to claim here and different types of missions and everything like that too. So want to give a shout out to Infinigods before we get on to our next topic, which is actually on the topic of what Spark just talked about, which is like community as a metric. And something that I wanted to kind of bring up here is like My Pet Hooligan, Mon, as well as something that we opened up the show as with the Pirate Nation, is like My Pet Hooligan has like one of the most like cult-like followings in the community NFT space. And I want to just maybe get like a little bit of insight on it from Johnny, because Johnny, you've been part of like the Carrot crew, freaking all those people, My Pet Hooligans, the Hoolies. Like I think their IP and their brand is freaking on point. Back like in 2022, 2021, whenever they used Hooli to kind of like get Neo Tokyo and some of that supply very early. But what's your thoughts on My Pet Hooligan? Like, how do they have this type of cult-like following? And also, I think their token also ripped last week too. I think all the way up to all-time highs of like $1 or something like that. And now it's back down to 0.8 cents, but it's at the support level that it was, and higher than whenever the TGE was too. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what I think My Pet Hooligan did really well over the course of the bear market is they continuously pushed updates, but they also pushed content. So a lot of people gravitate towards Pudgy, all the videos and like the short form that they would make. But actually, My Pet Hooligan was pushing out hilarious videos. They built up an IP in their hooligans. Like, you could totally see that type of a thing as like a Netflix show that kind of toes the line between a children's show and a very crude humor show, right? Like back in the day when you would hear jokes on a TV show and you'd be like, oh, that's funny. Adults would see it one way and a kid would see it the other way, right? So they toe the line of like degeneracy so well. But then another thing, like as I was like a day one, when they announced staking on the hooligans, I put all my hooligans into staking, never touched them, farmed the crap out of that. But what they did really well is 0 investors got money on day one, only community. So there's a 6-month cliff on these rounds. So for now, and the inflation rate on Carrot is one of the best that I've seen as far as not a lot of supply coming into the market. So what happens, there obviously was some sell pressure from the loyal community who got rewarded first. And then that big run up, once that sell pressure exhausted for the people that either diamond handed their Carrot or that people that started to realize, okay, well, they got Coinbase. They're like doing everything right. It just made sense for this to probably have a big relief rally. And then still over the next 5 months, there could probably, if gaming kicks up again, I could see Carrot going on another big run here just because of the fact that there is low float, but there's no more float coming for the next 5 months, which gives it a lot of upside, in my opinion.
Right. Especially when a lot of like, people are kind of expecting this cycle to go like maybe mid 2025 or anything like that. So you can have like a pretty big run up in the fall, which kind of like there is like a lot of, I guess, down sentiment right now. But in the fall, a lot of people think hopefully it's going to be picking back up. In terms of like more type of like viral communities or people that I guess are known for their communities, Mon was also another one of them. I guess I also want to just kind of have a question for the group is like, how do you track like the sentiment for a community? Like, how do you know if like a community is good versus like, oh, this is not going to really help with, I guess the narrative or anything like that? I guess what do good communities do that kind of sets the Mon people out, the My Pet Hooligan, as well as the Pirate Nation. I think Pirate Nation kind of also shown some like strength from their core users. They might not be as like vocal or influential as like you maybe Hustle or you Crypto Gorilla, but at the same time too, they also showed some strength in terms of unification of like the whales and stuff there. But what's a sign of a good community? If anybody wants to take that.
For me, obviously activity. How much are they out repping the brand? Like, it's one thing when a meme coin shills in your comments. It's another when I post something about a project and every one of the hooligans comes through like, you already know what it is. Like they're like with the culture, bro. Like, and they all pick, they pick, and even me myself, all my hooligans in my portfolio, I picked ones that I felt like embodied part of me, right? With the different like weapons and the characteristics and the eyes. Like, I don't know. They did such a good job of like helping the community be able to gravitate and make a hoolie become theirs, right? And I feel like once you have a hoolie, it's actually kind of hard to detach from it because it is kind of like something that you chose that spoke to you, right? There's a bunch of NFT collections that I'll go out there, I'll pick up the floor. I don't care what it looks like. You know what I mean? But as far as the hoolie or a pudgy or these different types of collections, that when it becomes personal to the user or to the customer in a way, that's when the connection becomes way stronger. And then on the back end, not just that, they built the IP, right? So it speaks to them, but they could also kind of see, what if my hoolie was eventually in a video? Like, and it's like the same kind of thing that like Pudgy does with the IP stuff. So I feel like they have so much potential there. But when you see the activity, when you see the loyalty, a lot of these people never change their PFPs from hoolies. Yeah. When a lot of NFTs have faded from profile picture glory over the time. So to me, it's all about activity. It's all about the ones that go out there and rightfully shill their bags underneath your tweets. Whenever it's a good project, it does mean something.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. I've also tried on the back as like a builder to try to convince people from the hooligan community, because I've also just felt like just kind of their I guess loyalty to the brand. I was like, hey, would you like to switch it out for like a hopeful or whatever? And they're like, absolutely not. Like they like politely say like no, and so it's just absolutely crazy to see like what it is, like their reach, different types of unique PFPs and like members. Like, it's just absolutely crazy to see like the loyalty there. Anybody else have like any comments on like, I guess, loyal communities? I think if you have one, Gorilla, in terms of like Mon protocol and everything like that.
Well, just to keep going on My Pet Hooligan, I think, community, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think community's bullshit. I think we're all here to make money. So if you're not making money, yeah, they're going to hang out. I think a small community, like a little Discord, fine. People are going to, it's like their home. But in terms of projects, like people will abandon you quick. So it's amazing that even though, you know, there was no money making opportunities in My Pet Hooligan for a very long time, for years between their mint, they had the Zuck bots, and then everybody's waiting for the token. People stayed loyal. But then when it finally came time for that payoff, it's one of the best NFT airdrops, especially if you were staking from day one. I think you had like 9,000 tokens. You were given more on day one than the value of the NFT was ever worth, no matter when you bought it. So you were paid in full. I mean, I've traded them over time, but I bought some. I sniped some with tokens at the floor. I had 5,000 tokens per NFT. I had 3. I made 15 grand just from the tokens, and the NFTs are holding up pretty well. So I think they rewarded people who waited, and the communities that do that are the ones that survive. You know, when apes went crazy in price, it's because they got the airdrop for ApeCoin, and then there was the other deeds land sale, which a lot of them did make good money on that. If you look at Pudgy, I mean, the price started to rip, one on speculation of a token, but they also started getting airdrops for all these tokens. They just got they're going to get an airdrop for ZKsync. Now, I don't know if that's good for ZKsync. I don't know if any of them care about it. They're probably looking at it as a payment. But in terms of an NFT holder, like, that's great. I don't have to sell the asset, and you just gave me money that I can, you know, sell if I want to, and that pays my rent, and I can continue holding my Hooli or my Pudgy or whatever it is.
Yeah, it is absolutely just cool to see like how that hooligan community kind of banded together, actually like stayed loyal, and then also got an outsized reward. And I think that's what a lot of people don't see. And I think this is something that you tout really well, Spark, but like understanding this concept of like rewarding your early members, and very much being realistic, which I do have like I guess a contradiction point, maybe a little bit more back and forth from like a builder's perspective, that I want to kind of get your guys' take on it, because I think the way they perceive degens are a little bit different. But before we get to that, I want to hear from you, Spark, in terms of like the community, and like you always tout like reward your holders. Like it's more important to over deliver than it is to under deliver. And I just heard from like Hustle, especially their conviction, their voice for My Pet Hooligan, they did that right. You know, the value of whatever they got for the token airdrop, for holding your NFT, to having a support floor of like an ETH for almost 2 years in a bear. Like you should reward that type of behavior. But a lot of people kind of like underwhelm in terms of that, but would love your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's how you get some of these ridiculous valuations in crypto gaming. That's how you get like the word of mouth effect. Like you can bootstrap up like ridiculous numbers of installs to your game. I mean, I think, you know, Gorilla said that community is bullshit in crypto, and it's sort of like, I think community in crypto is about making money. Like it's almost, if you believe in the community, it's like you believe that this project will make you money. Like that's like the belief in the vision, right? So I sort of look at community from that sense. And that's why like building community comes around like rewarding them. You have to believe that the project's success will lead to your success. And yeah, if teams are stingy and are throwing around like tiny little airdrops and they don't support the longer term holders, then that belief drops away. And as soon as your success isn't linked to the project's success, then you stop giving a fuck about the success of the project.
Yeah, no, it's well said. And I think this is a thread that me and you have, you sent this to me, Spark, but when it comes to this stuff, says these tokens all have strong communities and a solid base of tokens, which we're talking about like Link and all that stuff. But there are very few strong communities in crypto where the community has not made money. The OG Link Marines had over a year to accumulate Link below $1, and whether Link is $5 or $15, they're in the back and will absolutely go for bat for Sergey. And so it's really comes down to what you guys said. It's really just making money with your internet friends. And I think that was also coined by Reagan as well, which had like a really good like Bankless podcast as well. I want to kind of touch on this because I feel like there's some builders yelling at the screen, especially at us right now, saying like all these degens just like want to make money, right? And I think that is a very common stuff. And like I would say that it's true in a lot of ways, but what is the benefit of like having people like degens be in your project? Because some game studios are like, I don't want degens. I just want to make a really good game, right? In terms of that aspect of things. I have my take on it. actually, I'll start with it because I feel like I've been tossing it over to you guys and stuff. Is like, I think degens like do like two primary things like really well. First is actually providing liquidity, especially like game studios and all that stuff at this early of a stage have to go like the Kickstarter route or whatever. And we have a lot of liquidity when it comes to just Ethereum, the appreciation of price over the crypto markets. For people that are here, have some exposable income to do it. Like you see a Grail, you see Dingaling, they sweep NFT floors like freaking crazy. They have liquidity, and that will support the projects themselves to have enough revenue to start building on their dreams. So I think that's like one. The other second thing that I think is not like really talked about a lot is more about the degens, like specific like word of mouth and the marketing that comes with it. Advertisements don't work in crypto in a lot of ways. And so you have to rely on people like Hustle and Crypto Gorilla and Spark and myself to some degree of like having a platform to be able to speak about your project. But you also have to rely on degens to have word of mouth, alpha groups, and all that stuff to spread your project throughout the masses. So it also provides a lot of marketing. So I think of it kind of as like a marketing expense, but I just want to kind of toss it over to you guys. Also, what do you guys think? Hustle, if you do have one, I feel like I want to kind of toss it over to you.
Yeah, for sure. Without degens or without speculation, we're definitely not going to hit these billion-dollar market caps, right? So there's always going to be people on the side of the coin that are in something to make money. There's always going to be people on the side of the coin that I just love this project or I love this game, but there's never going to be this euphoric world where at the end of the day, if a game's coming to build in Web3, let's just be totally real. What is their goal? They're coming in here to, at the end of the day, break even and make money on the business side. It's a business at the end of the day for everyone involved. What is someone that's investing into a game trying to do? They're trying to obviously ROI on that investment. So like, I don't think a game can pick and choose. If you're going to build in Web3, you have to embrace the people that are going to keep your floor price where it is. If you're doing good stuff, that are going to provide liquidity, like you said, and you're never going to get rid of it. Like there's always going to be people that play the games for yield, and there will be some who play the games for fun. But at the end of the day, if you're building in crypto, you can't annex one or the other. That's not how the game works, right? Like the market's going to be the market. And if you're going to shun out speculators from your project, you might as well go back to Web 2, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also you shut out the liquidity as well, right? So, and I think that's what I've learned on the side of things too. It's like, it is business at the end of the day, like you said, Hustle. So like they want to generate revenue and they're actually using that specific liquidity, and you don't like play the game and like lie to us and say that you do. And also a lot of us gotten smarter too, right? We've kind of detected some stuff, but Gorilla, I want to put you on the hot seat right now because you've been somebody that I've like really admired, that you've just been honestly and very truthful about this specific topic. It's like, hey, we're here to make money. And so you have to like appease to us to some degree, or like, we're not going to give you our money. So like, what's your thoughts on this specific topic?
Yeah, I find it funny when project, or it happens with NFTs all the time. They say, "Oh, we don't want flippers," or "We don't." It's like, are you guys pretending you're not here to raise $5 million to sell us JPEGs? Or like Hustle said, like the teams are all here to make money. They're trying. If you made a game and I come in and I say, "Wow, I love your game. I'll give you $1 billion for your IP." Are you not going to flip it? Does that not make you a flipper at the end of the day if you're going to flip this company? So I think everybody's here to make money. Artists, I mean, it doesn't mean there's not a love for the game. None of us would have stayed throughout the bear market if we didn't love Web3, if we didn't love, trading and what we do. So I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy here, but I do think there's a give and take. Like you need to give money back, like some of these projects do, the ones who do it well. And, at the end of the day, we're going to support. Yeah, if we're just here to flip, leave, and never care about your project again, then what's in it for you for giving us money? I just think it's a give and take on both ends. Yeah,
that's facts. And Sparksy, we're already at time, so I'm sorry that we didn't touch our last topic, which we'll get. Hopefully, Hustle and Crypto Gorilla enjoyed themselves here, and also look at that dog; it's a beautiful. Also, you're getting a lot of comments here, Spark, saying that you're looking hot, bro. Also a beaut. So absolutely killer that you're pulling that off. Over 3 people that have their camera on. So kudos to you. But yeah, I want you to kind of end on this because I think you always have very good insights on this specific topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been covered well. I would just say that if teams want to understand how to appeal to speculators, you cannot do that if you never immerse yourself in the gaming, in crypto space. You can't do it. If you come from traditional gaming and you read a few thought pieces about crypto gaming and that's like your insight, You have no idea how to sell to speculators whatsoever. And you can talk to your VCs, and they've also got no idea how to do it. And you can talk to the marketing agencies, and maybe some of them have a bit of an idea, a lot of them don't. But you can't do it with only third-party help, right? You can only have your hand held so far. You do have to have some level of understanding yourself. So that's like my main call to action for teams that want to generate any sort of hype in the space. They want to perform, have a good floor price, have a community. You have to spend some time in the space. Otherwise, you are going to do what all the other teams have done, which is have such misguided expectations and have failures of mints and tokens that are down-only charts. It's not going to work.
Absolutely. Gorilla, you have one more take on this.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you were saying there. I think that's something that Ray from 9gag did really well. He spent like a year losing money on NFTs just to understand the culture. I just wanted to say, it's a double-edged sword. I think some projects, they go too much into the degen, too much into the speculation, and their NFT price runs away from them. It goes way too high. And then maybe that's what happened with Pixelmon. You know, the airdrop, if you bought it 1.4 ETH or even 2, I bought some of mine at like 1.8 ETH, and I ended up losing money on those NFTs. So it's really a game of balance and not leaning too much into speculation, because then your project gets away from you and people lost money. They're going to dump it, and then you're dead to them.
No, 100%. Absolutely. Managing expectations is so important, and also something that is hard to do and impossible to do if you don't understand the space properly. Again, one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to manage expectations. And yeah, you're right. You can definitely suffer from success if you don't manage them correctly.
Absolutely. And that is time, guys. I have like probably 2 more topics on the matter, but I respect the hell out of everybody to waste your guys' time. I know you guys have meetings and all that stuff. Freaking Johnny's trying to make a freaking business for Nexus. You see it down there, and Gorilla Labs they need their community lead back, which is Crypto Gorilla. But I want to kind of show you guys a little bit where to find you guys. Spark C says, amazing insights. Get this guy to 10K. This guy is way underappreciated on that. And also he didn't bought his specific account. So that's great on me. And also he's been one of my best friends in crypto for the last 2 years. So go follow that dude. Next up, my dude, Gorilla. Web3 video content, 50K on YouTube. He's a freaking wizard on it. So love you to death, dude. Go follow this guy. And lastly, follow Johnny. That's all you need to know. And so you guys have been awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming up and doing this. Hopefully you guys had a good time too. And then everybody in the comments, thank you for showing up. I see saying GG, Spike. Oh, shout out to Spike also in the audience as well. And also don't sleep on Crypto Gorilla's freaking CSGO skills. That's for sure. And then Icy's shilling you in terms of the in the comments. So thank you as well. All right. Anything else you guys have to say? Last thing, maybe one thing that you guys have bought this week, if you did.
Meme coins.
Meme coins.
I bought stock in the Alpha Wolves coming back, baby. Come on.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. There's not an actual token out there, just so everyone knows. I've already gotten the compromise. Thanks for bringing that up there, Johnny. So we'll end the show there. Love you guys.